Alright, our next effort in Adobe Illustrator has to do with designing with text. And so the first thing I'm going to do to show you how this can get started, I'll go to the Start button, go to Computer. I'm going to get to our Courses Drive, Drive L, and I'm going to use period 1 as an example, but obviously you could do the same thing for period 2 or period 5. I'll go inside the Assignments folder and inside the Adobe Illustrator folder, and right here, this is session number 3 and 4. This is actually a 2-day thing. I'm going to get inside that folder, and here is what we've got. Now, let me do this. Let me start up Illustrator and show you what mine, and I do have a kind of a copy of mine in there, but I'm going to show you what mine looks like here. Let me just open this up, and I'll show you what mine looks like and then tell you more about the details. So I'm getting to it right here, and here it comes. Alright, zoom back on that a little bit. Alright, now this is what I mean by what I mean when I say I want you to design with text. We're going to take an artboard and fill the entire thing with text, and there's a kind of a theme to it. It's going to have your full name on it, your first, middle, and last name, and then the rest of the artboard excuse me, will be filled with things that you're interested in, or things you like, or things you enjoy. So it's really going to be kind of all about you. Your name is on there someplace, and the rest of it is it could be, well, we'll get into that here in just a minute. Now let me get back to Drive L where I was, if I can find it here. There we go. I do have inside this assignments folder on Drive L, I've got, you see this document says Project 2 Design with Text. I'm going to double click that. You can do the same thing. You can get into Drive L and get into that folder and double click that document. It's kind of like being on my website. So here's kind of an outline of this project. 50 pointer. Okay, you're going to use the type tool, pretty much is all you get, and I'll show you more about that here in just a minute. When you start this, you'll start Illustrator, you'll start with a new artboard, and you'll have to choose portrait or landscape orientation. I'll show you how to do that. You click on the type tool and you create type, and then you got to work on styling it a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to do that as well. You make changes to the appearance by fonts, colors, things like that. Now, one of the goals of this, the requirements, you got to fill the page. I want there to be very little empty space when you're done with this. Very little empty space. All right, so you're working to try and think of a lot of things and squeeze them in and rotate them and fit them and do however you got to do it, but you try to fill the page. Everything in the design must be created with the type tool. No shapes, no photos, no nothing from the internet on this one. Everything with type. Have to include your first, middle, and last name somewhere on the page. Size is up to you. I don't care how big it is, but it's got to be on the page. The rest of the page gets filled up with things or text describing what you're into, things you like, things you enjoy. Now, those are the requirements. Here are optional things. You can use whatever colors you want. You might decide there's one color that you really like and you want to stick with it through the whole thing. That's up to you. You can use a variety of fonts if you want to. That's okay too. Now on mine, if you look at mine, I use the same font on every text item that's in there, but that's your call. All right, you can make the words whatever size you want. You'll see that on mine, some of the words are big, some of the words are small, and that's part of the trick to filling the artboard, is make some big, make some small, and just kind of squeeze them in and work them in wherever you need to. All right. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to do this. I haven't really covered this with our sub, and if you can work that out, if you can get some fonts downloaded, that would be fine. You can do it without that as well. You can just use the fonts that are available on your machine. Now let's take a look at scoring here, and then I'm going to get into a little bit with how to make the text and how you can work with it. It's a 50-point project. Very little white space, and again, what that means is very little empty space on the artboard. Fill the artboard, and if in the judgment of whoever grades this, me or the sub or whoever it winds up being, if in our judgment you left too much empty space, that's a 5-point deduction. All right, now here's the scoring structure on this one. If you have your full name plus 5 or fewer things that you like, like cookies or pie or McDonald's or whatever it is, 5 or fewer of those, And you get 35 points for that if you have 5 or less. That's a D. If you have your full name plus 6, 7, 8, or 9, all right, in that range, anywhere in that range, you're now up to 40 points, and you get a C for working on this project. All right. Now, if you have your full name plus 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all right, things that you like, things that you enjoy, Minecraft, video game, whatever. You're up to 45 points. That's a B. And then if you have your full name plus 15 or more items that you like, that you enjoy, things that, even if they're just colors, foods, movies, games, people that you like, then you're up to your 50 points, A+. Now these quick tips here, I'm going to show you some of these. I want to show you a little bit about how to make the text and how to rotate it, and just some options that you have, how you can change the appearance of it and things like that. So I'm going to go over here to Illustrator, and there you see mine. To get this started, you go File and go New. And the only thing you really have to kind of worry about on this box for a new document is right here, the orientation. You can make it portrait or you can make it landscape. I like it landscape. It's really up to you. You could do this either way. I like this button on the right is landscape. The other one's portrait, so I'm going to keep it landscape, and I'll just click OK. That gives you an empty artboard. You're ready to go. Now, as far as basically making text, if I just come up here and I just click with the text tool or the type tool, and let's say that I'm going to put my first name. I'm going to use all caps here. All right, so I put my first name. Now, it's really small, and it's just black, and it's plain, and so here's what I would do next. I would go get the black arrow tool, the selection tool, grab a handle here on this text, and make it as big as you want. All right. Now, when that text is selected, if you'll look on the control panel that goes across the type, this control panel always changes according to what kind of tool you're using and what you're working with here. You'll see that here's a setting right here for font. All right, well, so change the font if you want to. And I'm going to use this Agency FB for this. And right next to that, you'll have, if that particular font has some options like condensed or bold or italic or whatever, they'll show up here. I'm going to do bold. And you see that this is for the font size, but really I think the easiest way to change the size of the thing is just grab the handles and stretch it to be whatever you want. Okay, so now I've got that text on there and kind of sized nice and big, and I got it bold, and I changed the font. Now, what about coloring? Well, there's a couple of ways you can do this. There's a lot of ways you can do this. At the bottom of the tool panel on the left-hand side, you'll see a fill box and a stroke box. The fill box is usually, it's just a square. The stroke box just it's like a frame. Right now, this is telling me that it's filled with black and it doesn't have any stroke. A stroke is an outline. I could double click this and fill this with any color I want. All right, see, now that text is green. Now, if I would like for it to have an outline, I can click on this frame thing here, the stroke box, and then I can double click that, and then I can go ahead and give it, I can give it whatever color outline. I'll give it a black outline, and I'm going to click on that too. Now, another thing you may want to do is up here on the control panel with this, when I have this text selected, you'll see a spot here that says stroke 1 point. Well, if you would like for that stroke to be a little thicker, you can just bump that up. Like if I want it to be like a 5-point stroke, it's going to be a little bit thicker, and it's going to look like that. All right. Now, a couple other things that can be helpful here. Underneath this type tool, there is a vertical type tool, if this would help. And here's how it works. If I click and hold and go to the vertical type tool, I can click once and I can type, this is my middle name. All right, and you see what I did. And again, what I'll do here is just grab the black arrow and I'll stretch that up. The vertical type tool does pretty much like what you would expect, and that is it types vertically instead of horizontally. Now again, I would have all the same options that I had with that other one here. I could take this text and I could change its color. I could give it an outline. I could change the font if I wanted to. I can do anything to that I like. Now here's another tip that could help you, and we did this with shapes. Let's say that I want to put my last name on here, but I'm pretty sure that I want to kind of set it up just like I had my first name. Same font, same color, all that kind of stuff. Well, all right, might try this. Do that Alt-Drag trick. If I Alt-Drag my first name and then I double click it, it gives me the type cursor, and I can just kind of drag in here. I didn't get all of it there. I can drag in here and I can change what that says, and I can pull that around here, and all right, so I'm getting that kind of arrangement right there. So that alt drag trick could help you when you're, if you think, well, I'm going to put another word on here, but I'm going to use the same font, I want a similar size or whatever. It saves you a little bit of time because you don't have to go through the process of, maybe picking a font or whatever. Alt drag can help. Now here's another little trick. If I say on here that I like cookies, all right, which I do, I'm going to size that up some. Now another thing you can do, let's say that I want to take this word cookies and stick it inside that O. But I don't really want it to be like this. I don't want the letters to go down. What I really want to do is take that word cookies and just rotate it. I want to rotate it like 90 degrees so the S is at the top. All right, well, if you have it selected, if you have text selected, just sneak your mouse up on a corner. And I think we might have done this with shapes. You just turn it, you just rotate it, get it the way you want, and then I can move it right up in there. And you can nudge these. You can tap your arrow key on the keyboard. And so you can kind of rotate things at an angle or at a 90-degree angle, kind of like I did there, and that can kind of help with piecing things into where you want them and that kind of thing as well. Okay, let's see if I left out any tips here. Vertical text, stroke and fill, and alt drag, and I think that's pretty much it. So you're starting to see the idea behind this project is you're going to put on your full name and then just plaster this artboard with things that you like and things about you. And remember, if you're part of the trick of this assignment is to be able to think of a lot of things, because you have to have at least 15 of them to even get an A. But one of the things that may help you some is that if you're having trouble filling the artboard, we'll make some things kind of big. If I want to say that I like playing Halo, well then make it kind of big and stretch it there. And by the way, this little font thing or these little color settings up here will allow you to change color as well. It's another way to do it. There's about 1 million ways to do everything in Illustrator. So that's just a little tip there, is just work with the sizing of things. If you're having trouble filling the artboard, work with angles, work with sizing. Get your numbers that you need, but work with angles and sizing and everything, and work on filling it up. I think that's it. I think that sets up the project, and we're kind of ready to roll. So, and this is a 2-day thing, and I know some people knock it out pretty quick and they get it done. Well, okay, but some people, I've had a lot of people really get into this and work on it pretty hard, and they need more than one class period to get it all done. So, we're leaving 2 days for this, and that's going to kind of take you up to winter break. All right, have at it, folks.